Taoiseach, I wish to raise with you an issue on how Ireland responds to its obligations to balance its ability to generate sufficient power to satisfy its needs while meeting its obligations on decarbonisation and climate change. It's government policy that Moneypoint ESB power station, a coal-burning power station in County Clare, must cease production by 2025. Moneypoint is an old coal-burning station which has the capacity to provide 900 megawatts of power at its full capacity and plays a very important role in electricity generation in Ireland. It provides cheap, stable source of electricity. Closure of Moneypoint presents the government with a major problem. One, in maintaining sufficient, reasonably priced energy production for a growing economy while meeting its international climate change obligations. According to Eurostat in 2017, the cost of production of electricity in Ireland is quite high. Coal burning leaves a huge carbon footprint, resulting in Ireland facing large fines of up to 600 million in relation to missing its carbon emission targets and climate change obligations. Emitting greenhouse gases comes at a price, Taoiseach. My question is, what will replace the Moneypoint power station in 2025, and how does the ESB replace its power generating capacity if it closes completely, and what are the plans to do so? Can Moneypoint be converted into a station which uses an alternative source of energy, such as biomass or gas? Or can electricity generated from renewable sources, such as offshore wind and tide, which is available in abundance in the Shannon estuary, be harnessed and channelled through Moneypoint as a landfall location for electricity production from such renewable sources? Moneypoint is an important part of the electricity grid structure, with its high voltage lines radiating across the country. The question is, can it generate enough renewable energy to replace that generated by coal? So, Taoiseach, can you give me any indication of what the government plans to do in relation to Moneypoint, which is going to cease coal burning in 6 years? And we need to be proactive in this matter and not wait until the last minute. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked this question, because I think this is one of a series of significant measures that the government is pursuing in relation to reducing the amount of emissions that come from this country and our economy. Moneypoint is a little different, as indeed is energy generation generally, because that is in the traded sector. And so doesn't have as direct an impact in terms of our national targets as, for example, other emission sources. Having said that, in my view, it is inappropriate to produce power from coal any longer. We have to give the ESB the time to find viable alternatives that can use the significant grid infrastructure that connects Moneypoint across this country. It's two 400 kV lines. It's the most significant electricity grid infrastructure that we have, and so we should be using that in the future to transport power around this island. But we have to find alternatives to coal to do that. And it is up to the ESB to work with Minister Bruton to find ways that do that, use the grid to its full capacity, that recognises the employment challenges that may come from moving away from coal as a power generation source. But there are multiple opportunities here, from renewables both on and offshore, to gas, which is an awful lot cleaner than coal but still is a carbon fuel that we need to move away from, to biomass, where I know there are certainly opportunities, but I think it is up to the ESB, just like it's up to Bordamona in terms of the transformation process that they are involved in, to come up with viable commercial alternatives that can protect employment in the region and can use the infrastructure that's there. I think it is worth noting that this week the ESB have announced that they are engaging in the development of a very significant offshore wind project off Dundalk, which I think in the future is going to be a very significant contributor of renewable energy coming onto the Irish grid. So this is the change that is happening. Coal as a power source for energy generation needs to end by 2025, but we certainly need to use the infrastructure that has been built up over many years that still will be part of our power solutions.
And the difficulties, and in particular the difficulties which face Money Point. So the question really is what are the alternatives? And I know that the ESB is to produce a report on how it will use alternative energy sources in electricity generation in Money Point. But we have to have a clear pathway on how those changes are going to occur. And there is the potential for renewable energy. The question is there going to be sufficient renewable energy which can be channelled through Money Point? Also, and it's a question that you may be an expert to answer, in relation to Brexit and the interconnectivity between the UK and Northern Ireland in electricity delivery to this country, what will be the effects of Brexit on electricity sources in Ireland? And finally, you did mention the fact that it will have profound implications on the employment issues in County Clare, because Money Point is responsible for about 400 jobs in West Clare. And how will those jobs be replaced when we move from coal to some other form of energy? Will they be protected, and will there be other employment opportunities which can be generated from Money Point?
A lot of very valid questions there. Just in relation to Brexit, and we plan to publish the heads of the legislation that is being prepared for a no-deal Brexit today, later on this afternoon. And one of the 17 elements of those heads of bill actually does address the single electricity market. It's not the only response that's required in relation to it, but an element of the challenges that we would face in the context of a single electricity market if there were a no-deal Brexit is in that legislation. Of course, and I'm very familiar with Money Point. I've visited there on a number of occasions. I've previously been an opposition spokesperson on energy. Yes, of course the ESB have challenges here in terms of finding viable alternatives to coal, supporting their employees, and also ensuring that the infrastructure that has been built that connects Money Point remains a key positive factor in terms of grid management and electricity supply in the future. I happen to believe that there are huge job opportunities, job growth opportunities for County Clare and for the West Coast generally in relation to offshore renewables in the future. But I think the ESB will obviously come back to government with a specific plan, as have Bord na Móna, in relation to how they propose to move away from coal as a power source and to replace it with alternative, more climate-friendly fuel sources.
Thank you very much.